Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin, and I'm here to talk about toys. Today, we're talking about some thrift store finds I recently had. I love going to thrift stores. I love going to flea markets and yard sales. I don't do it as much as I would like to, and that obviously tanks the results, right? If you go all the time, you have a better odds of finding something. But, you also get burned out. You can go to the same place over and over again and find nothing, which was my streak for thrift stores for a very long time. And then one day after work, I decided I had some time to kill, and so I stopped at a local thrift store. There's about 3 thrift stores between work and my house, if I go sort of just slightly out of the way. One of them is a Goodwill, one of them is a Salvation Army, and one of them is like a different chain. I always thought it was more local, but I'm starting to think that through stuff I've seen online that is actually like another bigger competitor. But the Goodwill that I went to when I had the time to kill, which was sort of in the right spot of the 3 of them, I found a couple of 90s toys. I'm walking down the aisles and I noticed that they had replaced all of the shelving and put in some racks. There was actually some action figures there, which shocked me. They had bagged up some stuff. For a long time, my local Goodwill never had any, like, small parts bagged up. They would only just have, like, a big Imagine-X chunky playset with no parts, or, like, some toy cars and trucks, which was one of the reasons why I didn't really go. But this time, they had new, like, wire rack shelves, and it had been a while, so these racks may have been there for a while. But there were some bagged, like, Ryan's World figures and some other stuff, which got me to start really looking at what's in all the bags. There was a bag that had some, 2000s era or 2010s maybe Batman figures. So I was looking at those, making sure there wasn't anything in there that I was interested in. And I found a boxed Micro Machine playset. And I pulled it open because the box wasn't taped up. And it was like a platform, like a play area with no pieces really. They wanted $5 for it, or $4.99 or whatever. And I was like, you know what, it has the box, which is nice, but I'm just going to pass on it. If it has no parts, I have no interest. So as I was kind of thinking about that, and it wasn't in the toy aisle either, it was like on the wrong shelf. But as I walked around, I noticed there was a cart of stuff that needed to be put out. And so I started kind of snooping through those bins a little bit, and what did I find? The Micro Machine City Van. I don't remember if that's actually what this is called. But the Winnebago City, whatever it is called. This was $10, $9.99, but it had a lot of parts to it. It looked like it was in good shape. You can fold it out. Right, like there's a little building, there's a crane here. There's actually a couple of vehicles. Not too many, but there's a couple cars in here. There's an airplane. There's a trailer with logs on it. There's not a truck to pull that, though. But I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I actually have this city. Years ago, I bought a collection of Micro Machines for pretty cheap on Marketplace in the town that I used to live in. And I was going to do an SEO toy review video on them. But I was hoping to find somebody that was, like, into cars to do the episode with me, because car people are better for doing, like, car videos, right? If I pick up this car and I'm like, oh, it's a pickup truck, and everyone's like, oh, you idiot, that's a da-da-da-da, right? Then I look dumb. And I'm just not really a car person, so even though I liked playing with Micro Machines as a kid, I'm not going to pull them out and instantly know this is a Chrysler and this is a Honda or whatever. I just never made that video. And then I saw this, and I just, for some weird reason, couldn't leave it behind. And wanted to show it off in a video. And I kept looking around, hoping that maybe there was a baggie of Micro Machines. Right? Because if there's this, and there's a boxed playset, there's probably Micro Machines. So as I walked around, I found a few more bag toys and looked at them. And one of them ended up being the Independence Day Will Smith figure. And I gotta say, I'm super annoyed at myself. I misplaced him. So if you're seeing B-roll of the actual toy, like on my table here, I found it. And if you're seeing B-roll from the internet, I still don't know where I misplaced him. I don't know how I misplaced him. I was planning on making this video. He should have been with the van here, but he's not. It was kind of interesting to see it like another 90s toy, and I was like, oh man, did some whole kids collection come in and either it's been bought up mostly already or are they still processing it? So I decided I was going to go back the next day just in case.
Is this the van to Super Van City?
Sure is. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can get into town. Super Van City. Just fold it on down. Micro machines taking over the place with real racing dragsters ready to race. Working bridges and an airport too. A car wash serving you. Super Van City. Micro machines.
The Micro Machines Super Van City. You put it together, fold it up, take it away. Vehicle pack sold separately.
So the next day, the first thing I saw was this black generic police helicopter. My buddy Nick and I, Nick's one of the guys I used to go to a lot of toy shows with, we used to always talk about these generic toys that they would sell at like Kmart and stuff, like boats and cars, and how they don't really sell any like generic vehicles anymore. And it's cool how so many of them worked with G.I. Joes. This thing has a lot of similarities to the Dragonfly. It's got foot pegs. I don't know what toys would actually fit on that. It's got the chin gun. It's got the opening canopy here with 2 seats. Like, it's real similar. It actually has missiles on the end, and it has little tabs here so it could drop a bomb. It's got a tail rotor. It's pretty cool. And they were asking $4 for this, and I grabbed it just for the pure nostalgia of it and the ability to show it off with you guys. If it had been too expensive, I might have just taken a photo of it to put in this video, but I was real excited to pick this up just for kind of funsies, and I love how it's got the trigger action. This is easier to operate than the Dragonfly. The Dragonfly had that little slider on the side that killed your finger. This thing's great. But I am on the hunt for 90s toys, right? This kid's collection's got to be here. Oh, and the boxed Micro Machines playset is now up at the front, up at the register where they put sometimes high-end items. Clearly they don't know that it's just basically an empty box with just a base in it. Or they do and they don't care, but they moved that up there. So as I'm going around, I find these Disney figures. And they're bagged up, and so it's a little hard to see quite how good a quality they are, but they look old, right? So I pull out this Mickey Mouse, and he's in a pile with other characters, each one in an individual, like, cheapy, thin plastic bag. And Mickey, I can tell his outfit's a little tattered. You'll be able to see in the B-roll here, his pants, like, don't want to stay up. I think they're missing a snap, and the sleeve hole's torn out. Somebody definitely tried to take this outfit on and off of him way too many times as a kid. But I think these are, like, from the 70s, so I start kind of getting interested. So I find Mickey. I find Minnie. Again, not sure if she's supposed to have bloomers on or not, because her skirt's kind of short, but she seems like she's in pretty good shape. Little bit of fraying on her outfit, but seems like it's in better shape than Mickey's. I found Donald, who kind of excites me. Donald's one of my faves. His outfit seems like it's in pretty good shape. Once I bought him and got him out of the package, I do feel like his arm is broken inside here. I did not try to take his shirt off, but this arm feels rigid and like it can pivot, and this arm has like a flappiness to it, so I think either it's popped out of the socket or the vinyl has like torn at the articulation point. So I don't think he's in quite as good a shape, although he displays so much nicer because his outfit's in pretty good shape. Donald's the one that I kind of am most excited about. I'm a big Donald and a big Goofy fan. Also, in that same pile, bagged up, was this Goofy figure, which I know is not from that era. I actually had this Goofy figure when I was a kid. This is a 90s Goofy, I think from the Disney store or maybe from Disney World. He's totally out of scale with them. But the other thing that threw me off was there was also a bagged Pluto. And this Pluto seems more in scale with those bigger figures, but his construction, his feel, his like articulation is much more like Goofy, so I don't think he's as old. Plus, he doesn't have a tag on him anywhere saying who made him. He just kind of has an imprint on his foot that says copyright Disney China. There's also a number 713 on his other foot. But I believe this is probably a 90s Pluto, just a different scale from Goofy. So this is the next day. I didn't see any new 90s toys. I found these things, which was kind of interesting. But I didn't go back again because I was like, you know what, I don't have the time to go every single day after work, and I didn't see more 90s stuff. So, you know, what I got with the Micro Machines and the Independence Day figure may have been the end of that collection getting processed and not the beginning. So about a week later, again, I just kind of had, like, you know, some time to kill and decided to swing by the thrift store. Went back to the same Goodwill. I also checked the Salvation Army, and I checked the other store. Oh, I went to Good Stuff Thrift is the name of the other store. I went there the one day, and I found a modern Darth Vader cake pan. I found an 80s Batman cake pan. I already had the Batman and the Darth Vader one. I have a vintage Darth Vader Wilton cake pan. I am kind of a sucker for cake pans, though. I have a pretty big collection of them. I thought those were cool. And in their, like, high-priced area where they have, like, silent auctions, they had a Panache Place Voltron that was mostly complete with pilots. That was pretty cool. Its price was already over $200. I did not place a bid on that or anything. But somebody that works there must know what things are, or you know, they're at least Google Lensing some of the items that come in there. But I didn't see anything else retro there. I went to the Salvation Army, saw nothing. Their toy section is pretty much just board games and books. So I went back to Goodwill, like I said, about a week later, with no real hopes of finding anything cool. But, you know, I had time to kill, so why not check it out? And I found a 70s Dumbo. Don't you think this Dumbo had to come in with the rest of that collection? He's got a little cloth collar. He's got big rubbery ears. This one is probably my favorite. Now, I didn't know there was a Dumbo one. Dumbo's not my favorite character, necessarily, but just a neat figure construction and just kind of a cool, different kind of toy. You know, you see Mickey and Donald figurines and stuff, but Dumbo, that's pretty cool. Is this going to get me back into toy hunting at the thrift stores all the time? Probably not. I do like to pop in once in a while, but I'm more of like a once every other month kind of guy, not a every week or every 2 weeks kind of guy. But I just lucked out, and I thought it was pretty cool. Want to share them with you. I don't know if any of you guys are diehard Disney fans. I don't collect a lot of Disney stuff, but I really do love Disney World and Disney characters. I love, like, the brand itself, but there's just so much Disney stuff, I don't really collect it. So, anyway, I thought that stuff was cool. And I also figured I'll show off something that's new to the collection. Crystar from Marvel Legends. Now, this figure is not super new, but he was kind of a surprise that they released him, and now they're going to do a ROM Space Knight. This is one of these characters that had a Marvel comic that was not super popular, based on a toy line by Remco. Just kind of surprising to see a modern version of this character come back. Not a toy line that I expect to ever see, like, a modern redo of, although nothing would surprise me these days. But to just have one figure, the main character in Marvel Legends style, is pretty cool. And I couldn't find him anywhere. It seemed like he sold out real quickly. But then I got a Facebook ad from Big Bad Toy Store saying they had him in stock. I went to the website, and I got some sort of error message, and I was like, oh, it's just some old ad. And then I got the ad again the next day, and I went, and it actually worked. I was able to, like, get the page to load and order him, and now I've got Crystar. So, super excited about that.
They've captured Ochi!
Each figure with a crystal prism that makes everything look like this.
Goodness and right, evil and might, the winner is out to you!
The Saga of Crystar collection. Each figure sold separately by Remco.
This episode's a little bit more on the shorter side, but it was just sort of this find that I had. There wasn't as much to say because I was just sort of showing off some random stuff I came across. It's not a full line or a full review of anything like that. But I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't done so, please consider subscribing. If you want to support the channel further, consider joining us on Patreon. Thanks for hanging on the peg with me.